And welcome back. Alarm bells were set off this week as a group of school board candidates running as a slate rejected an endorsement by an alleged Republican group, which suggested that the slate of candidates supported the removal of anti-whiteness curriculum in the Montgomery County school system. Then 2 days later, the Washington Free Beacon reported that Montgomery County elementary schools in 4th and 5th grade will be taught a program inspired by the Southern Poverty Law Center to combat privilege and systemic racism. Mark, let's first discuss the endorsement and dissect the endorsement of issue. Who or what is the group United Against Racism in Education, and is it associated with the Republican Party?
Well, it's an ad hoc conservative group. If you think about the Apple ballot, it's sort of the non-Apple ballot endorsement. It's a group that's very concerned about curriculum. Certainly there are Republicans involved, but it is a bipartisan group that includes both Democrats and independents as well.
But the way the candidates reacted to their endorsement, one would think, that was the third rail of Metro. I mean, they were, they thought it was electrifying that they would receive an endorsement from this group.
Well, and what's kind of puzzling about that in the article too is that they had those candidates had participated in the endorsement process and filled out forms and all that. That said, I can't quite understand, why they were so surprised that they had been endorsed. Obviously, I think they just wanted to disassociate themselves somewhat from the group.
So, Mike, the bigger issue, of course, is whether or not CRT is being taught in Montgomery County schools. And we have the Washington Free Beacon report on this, and whether that's appropriate. And in that article, one mother who was interviewed by the newspaper called CRT curriculum indoctrination, similar to what she experienced in Poland before the fall of the Soviet Union. So is this a legitimate, number one, is it a legitimate issue to be discussed in the school board race, but is it also something that should be taught in our schools?
Well, I continue to be kind of confounded by this whole discussion anyway. So that the critical race theory at its core is something that has been an academic pursuit. There was something that was that unfortunately has been because we can now take this discussion about race in schools and we could give it a name. And we've called it that. So really, teaching of critical race theory isn't taking place in any schools. I think the notion of being able to understand the historical nature of how race has been addressed in the United States is important. And I think we should do that. And I don't think we've done that well over the last, whenever. The notion of how Blacks in America have been treated, in particular, how laws have been changed, and how, as a result of those things and other forms of discrimination have taken place in the United States, and vestiges of that still remain today, people need to understand how we got here, how those elements evolved. And I guess I'm intrigued by the notion that typically white people are concerned by the fact that we're going to discuss things that are pretty factual and happened in the United States, and are concerned that that's going to make somebody feel bad. I mean, it happened. It's a reality.
Let me push back a little bit on it. CRT is, without question, has its origin as a law school level set of theories. And it is a distinct departure from sort of the tradition of civil rights going back for many years, and kind of get into that. I think it's been very much disingenuous by many people in the public education community to simply to dismiss CRT as sort of this academic thing. Unquestionably, in my opinion at least, it has begun to influence the way the issues of race are discussed at the secondary school level. And that is a source of concern. And it does, again, it reflects a distinct departure from the spirit that emanated the civil rights movement in the 60s and into the 70s. And that is a cause for concern.
Well, we only have a minute left, so we're going to have to wrap up this portion of the discussion. Mike, I'll let you have the last word if you have a brief comment.
No, I think it's important for us, especially in a place like Montgomery County, to think about how we address race in our school system and have that kind of conversation. I think it's a challenging discussion. I think all parties have struggled with how to get there. And so I think we need to figure out how to do that, especially in a place like this where we are such a diverse community.
Well, you're absolutely right, but teaching that white people are oppressors is not the right answer. And I'm going to take the last word on this because we're going on to our final topic